Imagine this, it's the early 2010s and you're a Baylor fan watching Robert Griffin III put up video game numbers along with Josh Gordon and Kendall Wright. After RG3's Heisman season, however, Baylor has mostly been stuck in mediocrity, and we're here to bring back Baylor to the limelight. With that introduction out of the way, welcome to the Baylor Dynasty on EA College Football 26. This is going to be a very in-depth dynasty with fully fictional players, just so it isn't repetitive like in real life. This will also be connected to my upcoming Madden 26 franchise where the team is yet to be announced, and the players from the series will be in the draft classes. Along with the Baylor Dynasty, I'm going to be posting college game day-like episodes where I'm just going to go through what's going on in the rest of the dynasty with the other teams and notable players, just because with all these created players, it's too fun not to look around the rest of the dynasty. I will be posting on TikTok and YouTube, which are linked in bio, and there is no other series like this out there. Now let's meet our coach. His name is Bernie West. He's a former Arizona State frat guy who drew up some plays while he was drunk. He says that the ASU coach saw them and decided to hire him. And after being successful there, he's getting hired by Baylor. He is infamous for only being able to coach while high or drunk on something. He's a big recruiting guy who attracts all these recruits with his life of the party attitude. Moving on to the most important part, let's meet the roster starting with our quarterbacks. It's a big question mark for our team as we have two redshirt freshmen at similar levels competing for the starting job. As of now, I think Marco and Nelly will be the week one starter. Nelly's an interesting guy. He's the much safer of our two quarterbacks, and he's a jack of all trades, master of none kind of player. That meaning he is average at everything, but he's not bad at anything. The ceiling with him is pretty low, however the floor is high. Our other guy is just the opposite. Kiki Small is pretty much Walmart Jalen Milroe. He's really athletic and can really run the ball, and he has a fairly strong arm. His issue is just that the accuracy is really inconsistent. He's a boomer bust player, and he can carry us to win, but he might also just sink our game plan completely. Neither QB, unfortunately, has high skill caps, and both have normal development. So the goal is really to find our real QB in the portal or by recruiting in the future. Our running back or clear top guy is Dean Benner. His nickname is Mini Pekka because he's built like a tank. Even though he's just 5'9" and not real athletic, he's not afraid of anybody and will absolutely run through your face. Behind him is going to be sophomore Mitch Haskins. He's 5'11", 215, not real athletic, but he's going to be a good third down back. He's the best pass catcher, a bit quicker than Benner, and he's a really good blocker. Beyond them, there's going to be a couple guys that might get a couple carries here and there, but aren't anything special. Jamie Starks, Quincy Mixon, and Kenneth Ekikwonu. And of course, our fullback is going to be Connor Moore. I'm really excited about this receiver room. Starting from the top, we've got our best offensive player, James Braverman. Braverman's a junior receiver who stands at 6'3" and about 210 pounds. He's really athletic with 92 speed and is just so explosive. He's got great hands, he can go up and make plays with the rim, and he's a pretty good route runner as well. Behind him, our number 2 guy is going to be Marshall Booker, another junior who isn't overly fast, but he is really quick. He's got great consistent hands, and he's going to be really reliable and pick up some of the slack for James Braverman. After those two, there's a pretty big drop-off, but in the slot, we're going to have sophomore Damon Moncrief, who stands at just 5'8" and is also quicker than fast. Good route runner, but struggles with some drops at times and doesn't have a lot of upside. The other guys who might get some reps are Freddie Herron, who's 6'5", Gage Reinhardt, who will likely be our primary kick and punt returner, and is a jump ball guy. At tight end, it's going to be John Ortiz, who will get most of the work. Ortiz is more of a pure blocker, won't get a ton of work in the pass game, but he does have reliable hands, will make catches when he needs to. The main guy making catches is going to be Quentin Whitaker, who's honestly more of a big receiver. He's a junior, but he's really high potential if we can keep him around one more year. Aside from those two, I'm excited about freshman Nick Beal, who stands at 6'4", 256, and has pretty high potential and is reliable. Our offensive line is by far the weakest part of our offense, with only one guy over an 80 overall. Our starters are going to be Santiago Vasquez and Amani Mond on the left. I do really like Mond. He's just a sophomore with impact dev and high potential. In the middle is going to be Roy Jordan. On the right side is going to be our best lineman Mike Burns at right guard, along with Jalen Sauer at right tackle. However, the guy I'm most excited about is sophomore Conrad Rivers, who has impact development and really high potential, including uncapped run block potential, which is going to be super nice. For the defensive line, on the left, it's going to be Curtis Childress, and on the right, Aiden Stacy. However, I do really like this freshman, Clayton Flynn. He's going to redshirt, but he's got really high potential. I really like this guy for the future. He can be really solid for us. The defensive tackle will be Darius Sneed, who's our best defensive lineman. He has a star development and is just really good. However, I'm really hyped about this guy, sophomore Santiago Emmanuel II, who has sky-high potential, and he has impact development, so he's going to be pretty good for us. At linebacker, we've got this dog, Tyler Makila, who is he's just amazing. He's super athlete to do literally anything. He can tackle, cover, pass, anything. In the middle, we got two freshmen, Lyle Butts and Sam Asiasi, who both have star development and both have really, really high potential. I really like both of them. At will, we're going to have sophomore DeMarcus Clements. He's another one of our rocks on the defense. He's going to be a playmaker. But this guy, Santiago Gash, he's already a 76 overall as a true freshman and is just one of two players on our roster with elite development. That's awesome. At corner, we've got Tavion Lewis Halpern, a senior. He's really good at just about everything. He's fast. He can play man, zone, press. The only knock on him is just that he's small. He's 5'9", 170. Really limits him, unfortunately. But Junior Onatolu, Alfonso Gay, and Kevin Hall are the other guys in this cornerback room that'll help out. At free safety, we've got Trywell Orr, who is just a sophomore with impact dev and basically uncapped potential. And behind him are maybe two that could be even better than him. Two freshmen, Tyler Casas and Garrison Hare, who both have high potential and star dev. So that's really nice. And then Raft Napoli is going to be our safety. He's star dev. He's got high potential. He's not just a junior. He's going to be great. And then our kickers are going to be Vernon Warmack, and at punter will be Angel Keys. I really like this roster. It's really exciting. Moving on to the top 25, I just want to take a look at this. Starting with Auburn, Ohio State, Penn State. Stanford's the first one. That's kind of a surprise. Remember, these are custom rosters, so a lot of these teams are a little bit odd. Like Michigan State wouldn't be here in real life. Neither would Virginia Tech. They're pretty good in this. I think they're pretty underrated. Texas, of course, makes sense. Clemson. Oklahoma State has a really, really good quarterback. Probably the best one, Waylon Hansen. Michigan, North Carolina, Minnesota is pretty solid. Oregon, Mississippi State's an unusual one. Florida State, NC State's kind of interesting. Maryland, Cal, Louisville, Utah, UK, USC, and to round it out with Syracuse. Moving on to look at the Heisman Watch, Tyler Royal is basically Jeremiah Smith. Jerron Eads is an interesting one out of Miami. He's the quarterback there. I think Miami has a really good offense, but if their defense sucks like we expect it to, it'll be interesting. Malik Thrash, the only G5 player out of Delaware here. And then Khalil Way is interesting. He might not even start for Clemson, so that's kind of an interesting one. Moving on to take a look at our schedule, we start week 1 at home versus Rice. Then we go on the road at Miami of Ohio before our hardest out-of-conference game against SMU. Then our in-conference, Texas Tech away, West Virginia on the road, Houston on the road, Colorado on the road, Iowa State on the road. 5 road games in a row. It is a rough start for us. But we do end with 4 home games against Kansas, TCU, Oklahoma State, and BYU. Hopefully by then we're in the conference championship. We'll see how that goes. And it's a pretty interesting schedule. I'm excited. Now that that's over with, let's take a look at some of the Week 0 scores. Starting at the highest altitude stadium in college football, as Liberty will go to Wyoming. In this one, well, it was just not close at all. Senior running back Alani Moreau led the way with over 100 rushing yards. And not 1, not 2, but 3 rushing touchdowns. And on the other side of the ball, Wyoming's defense was absolutely dominant. They terrorized Liberty's offense all night. And Wyoming will start their season with a victory over the Flames 52-7 in dominant fashion. Liberty is going to have a lot to think about on the ride home, as they allowed over 500 yards of offense, didn't even get over 200 themselves. Now let's go to Boise, Idaho, to the Blue Turf, where the Boise State Broncos are going to take on the UMass Minutemen to see what's expected to be one of the contenders for the Pac-12 championship in the Boise State Broncos. And early on, it looked like UMass might make this a good game, but after that, it was all Broncos. Senior quarterback Stanley Coker threw for over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. And while the UMass offense wasn't bad, they were competitive. They put up 26 points and 350 yards of offense, but they just could not stop the Boise State offense. The Boise State Broncos put up nearly 60 points to get their first one of the season, 56-26, starting the season off strong. put up nearly 600 yards of offense, allowed 350, but Now we go to see the Texas Tech Red Raiders take on the Fresno State Bulldogs. Texas Tech is expected to be one of the worst teams in the Big 12 this season. However, I think they may have put college football on notice in this one, as they absolutely throttled the Bulldogs. Running back Salisi Buck punched in 2 touchdowns. The defense looked unbelievable, allowing only 107 yards of offense. The real story was quarterback Emmett Gore, who threw for over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. In the end, it was a shutout, 55-0, as Texas Tech absolutely dominates. They went for basically 600 yards of offense, and overall they just looked really, really sharp. Moving on to a much more competitive game. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish are going to take on the Miami Hurricanes. And both of these teams, I think, were snubbed from the top 25, and they have definitely got something to prove. Through the first 3 quarters of the game, Notre Dame's offense was just faltering. They couldn't finish drives, and on the other hand, Miami put up a trio of touchdowns, 2 in the air for the preseason Heisman candidate Jerron Eads, as well as 1 on the ground. However, in the fourth quarter, the Irish started to figure it out as they were getting stops, and they finally got in the end zone twice, and that included this absolute bomb from quarterback Alexander DeBose to receiver Nathan McAdoo. However, on 4th and goal with 20 seconds left to win the game, the Hurricanes locked in on defense and stopped them, which would win them the game by a score of 19-24. These teams were really evenly matched with similar totals in every stat. However, the Irish disadvantaged themselves early on, and that ended up being the difference. And now here it is, the college football week 0 game of the week, as the number 18 NC State Wolfpack travels to Eugene, Oregon to take on the number 15 ranked Ducks. And in the first half, it was all Ducks. Quarterback James Kareem looked elite for Oregon with 2 long touchdowns to his receivers Terrence Hawkins and this other one to his other receiver Manu Lotulelei. Both of them looked really, really good. Both were elite, constantly causing problems for the NC State defense. And while NC State would get this touchdown late in the second to receiver Ricky Royce, Oregon would just come right back out, respond with their own right before the half to make it a 2-score game at the half. Now with the score 24-10 at half, Oregon looked to put their foot on the throat of NC State and came right back out firing on all cylinders, scoring on the first drive of the half to make it 31-10. However, the Wolfpack was finally able to string together a few stops, and the offense took advantage. NC State quarterback Tavarius Sims would connect with his receiver Matt Leo on this huge touchdown. And then on the very next drive, they would follow it up with a field goal to make it a 4-point game. But unfortunately, it was just not meant to be. On a seemingly inevitable 3rd and 18, Oregon receiver Terrence Hawkins managed to turn a short gain into a huge gain and get the first down. And then Oregon would run out the clock from there, and the Ducks would get the first win at home 31-27. Looking around the rest of college football, Delaware beats an FCS school, Texas Tech, Boise State with blowouts, another blowout Arkansas State with Jackson State, Miami competitive, and then Troy's competitive with an FCS school. Lots of blowouts. Players of the week, Leon Badgett for Troy and BJ Davenport for Boise State. Makes sense. Both were really good. And then the ACC players of the week, Randall Pryor and Ricky Royce, Miami and NC State. Big 12, 2 Texas Tech players, 2 Oregon players, and then Barry Fournette and Thrash. And the rest of these are mostly just players here. Week 0, of course, not all that important, but now we've got to sim to our week 1 game, where I am really, really excited. We're going to get to play the Rice Owls, and I can't wait to get this series started. Look out for the next week's episode, man. I'm going to be dropping that soon, hopefully. Let me know what y'all think. Peace out.